Today from the Global Lane, Hispanic prosperity, jobs and education for America's largest minority group.
Hispanic Americans are not just about one issue. We've been pigeonholed for far too long.
Morale in the toilet, but blue lives matter. Rallies showing gratitude for police, but not everyone is on board. More people are choosing urgent care centers over hospitals. Find out why. And the real battle for America's future is not in the streets. And it's all right here on the Global Lane. President Trump this month signed an executive order launching a new Hispanic prosperity initiative. The goal is to provide educational and job opportunities for America's largest minority group. His executive order creates a presidential advisory commission to help him advance Hispanic opportunities. One of the commissioners joins us now. He's Chris Garcia, former deputy director at the U.S. Department of Commerce. Commissioner Chris, good to talk to you again. The COVID-19 shutdowns have hurt everyone, but I know especially small business owners. How will this initiative help Hispanic Americans who've had their businesses shut down?
Well, Gary, it's good to be back with you as always, and praise God for this wonderful announcement just the last week and a half ago. This is a huge, huge deal because the president has created a new commission that's designed to not just promote the educational opportunities, but also the transitional and the economic opportunities for Hispanic Americans. So let's rewind a little bit and remember what type of economic environment we had prior to COVID. We had all-time low Hispanic unemployment. In history, we had never seen this many Hispanic Americans working. It was under 4%, and President Trump's economic policies drove those results. Now today, as we look to recover and have a strong and prosperous recovery from the COVID virus, this commission is going to be tasked not just with promoting the educational school choice opportunities for Hispanic Americans, but also making sure that as they transition from K through 12 or higher education and into the workplace, that they have economic opportunities. And so not just the next generation, but the current generation, we're going to see a lot of good things come out of this commission. Well,
Chris, you had mentioned Hispanic unemployment was at a historic low prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So what has to be done now to bring those low unemployment numbers and work opportunities back for the Latino community?
I think this goes not just for the Hispanic community and the Latino community, but also for all Americans. We have to have an incentive for Americans to go back to work. We had a little bit of a lull because of the virus. We didn't really quite understand it. Now we know that with safe practices and safe protocols, we can get Americans back to work. After all, we're going to see a much more detrimental impact. Many more lives will be lost, many more lives destroyed than would be affected by COVID if we keep Americans sitting at home, not working. So we have to have a safe reopening of the American economy. That's going to help not just small businesses, minority businesses, Hispanic businesses, but it's going to help everyday Americans. It's going to help America's corporate workforce as well. Because right now, we are not just facing an internal clash, we're facing a geopolitical enemy, and that is in China right now. There's a big initiative by the Chinese Communist Party to overtake the United States, the Made in China 2025 initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative, of course, taking over some of those key industries. And so one of the big pushes the president has that I think Americans of Hispanic origin feed right into perfectly is bringing manufacturing back to the United States, making sure that we never have this vulnerability so that if we have an even worse catastrophe or natural disaster, that China could very well cut off those exports of medical supplies. So making things here in the United States, putting Americans back to work, and that includes Hispanic Americans and all Americans.
And education, Chris, that's the key, isn't it? That's going to be difficult, though, if schools don't open back up. I think many schools are looking to online learning, but what is the struggle like for Hispanic Americans? And I'm thinking especially those with low incomes who may not be able to afford internet access or need special attention in school, in a class.
That's a very good point you raise. I mean, not everybody has access to high-speed internet, and it's unfortunate, but what tends to happen is Americans of minority background or minority origin, African Americans, Hispanic Americans have less access or reduced access to high-speed internet. And so being able to conduct classes remotely is also an issue. Let's also talk about the need for childcare. Many parents are going to have to go back to work full-time. And as we do that, we have to, account for the latchkey kids that are going to be at home by themselves, and with no supervision to look over, their work and make sure that they're attending classes. And so there are several considerations that we see here. But what we've got to do is make sure students are back in school safely. But we've got to have a safe reopening of the economy and a safe reopening of our schools.
Presidential critics, I know, will say it'll be hard for President Trump to win over Hispanic voters in November because he's building a border wall in California, taking a tough stand on illegal immigration. But I know some Latinos that I've talked to actually think he may win more votes because of those positions. What do you think?
We consider ourselves Americans first. That's why we're here in our great country. We put the values of the United States before the values of other nations, or before the interests of other nations, I should say. Really, Hispanic Americans, Latino Americans really understand the communist or the socialist policies of the lands that we fled from, and how detrimental that they are. And so we want to be sure that we have a country here that is not just about, and again, Hispanic Americans are not just about one issue, illegal immigration or immigration. No, we've been pigeonholed for far too long. We care about school choice. Every parent should have the right to decide where their child goes to school. Deciding not just based on where you live, but where the parent feels that their child will have the best education. We care about jobs. We care about being able to grow our businesses. Hispanic Americans are Americans, patriots through and through. And so it's not just about immigration. It's about, all of the other things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, creating jobs, making sure that things, are working for everyday Americans and not just Wall Street.
Okay, a big task ahead for President Trump's Advisory Commission on Hispanic Prosperity. Commissioner Chris Garcia, thank you, Chris, for joining us. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Gary.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Police run out of a precinct station in Seattle. Portland rioters set the Police Association building ablaze. Major cities around the country defunding the police. Growing hostilities against the men and women in blue. And it's so bad that one union official reportedly said police morale is now, quote, in the toilet. Prager University is hoping its national initiative, the Back the Blue campaign, will spread a message of gratitude and appreciation for law enforcement at a time when it's needed the most. Well, here to explain is PragerU's Will Witt. Will, first I've got to ask, what happened when you kicked off this campaign in Denver? I know Conservative pundit Michelle Malkin and others were attacked. Tell us about that.
You know, I can't say for sure exactly what happened to Michelle Malkin and her being attacked, but I know that all over the country, people who are saying that they are defending the police are being attacked for their views. They're being attacked online as well.
Go back to the other side. You touch her first. You get off of her. You touch her first. Get off. Stay back. Go away. Don't touch. Get off. Get off. Get off. Get off. This is our rally. This is our rally.
So it's a very serious thing. The issue has gotten incredibly polarized, but we at PragerU, I mean, definitely believe that, you know, despite the politicization of defunding the police, we want to stand up for what we believe in every single time.
What was the response from Denver police? After all, the rally was there to show support for them.
Yeah, well, we've seen this in a lot of things. Also with, you know, the rioting for Black Lives Matter, we saw some of the police going and kneeling with some of the protesters instead of actually, you know, stopping the protesters. So there are things that are happening that aren't always the best, but we support the police in whatever they do. You know, I did a video where I went to a college campus and a student actually called the cops on me for apparently my ideas were threatening him and they were fear-mongering, but the student was shut down basically by the police who said this is a First Amendment issue. And this other person, being me, was able to come to this campus and speak his mind and say his ideas. That's how all police officers should uphold the Constitution, uphold the First Amendment. We need to have that in our country. That's why America is the greatest country, because we have a First Amendment like we do.
I know we've seen efforts on college campuses to silence speech that leftists don't like, but now it seems this is going beyond the campuses into the public streets. So what should be done about it?
Things are getting worse. It's getting more polarized than ever. I think people are starting to as well mistrust the media a lot more. So a lot of opinions are flying out very passionately. But I don't think that things are going to start getting better until conservatives themselves actually stand up. The left it's so easy for them to stand up and say what they believe. It's the popular viewpoint to have in America today, to be a leftist. Look at Hollywood, look at the mainstream media. So it's very important that conservatives actually stand up for what they believe in so that we can fight back against them trying to silence us.
Defunding police, overrunning and burning police stations, disrespect for police. I know statistics show only 1,000 fatal police shootings, people of all races, out of more than 60 million annual encounters with police. So what is this really about?
Well, they say it's about defunding the police, but in reality, it's a Marxist agenda. You can go to the Black Lives Matter website, and you can see clearly on it that they say they want to disband the Western nuclear family. This is not about George Floyd anymore. This is not about police brutality. It is about power for these people, and it's about instituting their leftist agenda.
And the Back the Blue campaign, what kind of feedback are you getting from police officers and from those who peacefully attend?
The campaign has done incredibly well so far. We've been able to reach a lot of people, and the main goal, again, of the campaign is to show police officers that we support them. And we've gotten many messages from police officers thanking us for what we're doing, thanking us for actually standing up when they've gotten so much backlash from the mainstream media and all these protesters and people. So it's been incredibly successful, and we're very happy to be the ones to start this movement. I hope that people start to wake up to the actual facts about what's going on with the police. I mean, part of our campaign isn't just showing love and support for the police, but it's also a factual campaign where we're putting out the real numbers, the real data on how the police are treating people in this country. So with the amount of people who are sharing our posts, the amount of influencers and notable people and just, you know, millions of hardworking Americans across the country, we're hoping that these facts get out to people who wouldn't have heard them before and are actually having their minds changed on the issue. And I think it's working.
Okay, encouraging Americans to stand up for law enforcement and show appreciation to those, the vast majority of which actually protect us. Will Witt, PragerU's Man on the Street, thank you for your time, Will.
Thank you.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Have you ever been treated for an injury or illness at an urgent care facility instead of a hospital? Well, a new market study predicts urgent care facility growth will rise 5.2% by 2025. Some patients say they like the price transparency that many urgent care facilities offer. They also like the shorter waiting periods for urgent care. Well, here to set us straight on this latest healthcare trend is Joel Noble. He's Director of Public Policy at Samaritan Ministries. Joel, as we see COVID-19 cases rising again, can people be tested at urgent care facilities? How viable are those as alternatives to hospital emergency rooms if people suspect they may have coronavirus symptoms?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. That is definitely a great option as these quick care and urgent care places are become a lot better options, cheaper options, especially quick care clinics that don't require insurance. You can still use insurance, but you just have to go through the process yourself by filing it, and that helps keep the costs low. That's why a lot of these places can provide, like ear, nose, throat, and other services for very low prices, sometimes, $30, $40, because they've, gotten out of all the overhead that insurance requires. So it's a great option. And especially for members of healthcare sharing ministries like Samaritan, it's a great option for a low-cost alternative to having to go to like a hospital or emergency room.
Well, I'm just wondering because I know some people have to actually schedule their COVID-19 tests. And then by the time they have the test, they get in maybe a week after they originally scheduled it. And if they had to be quarantined because they have it, then it's almost time is up. Well, so what do you know about that? What can you tell us? Do they have tests there? Are they doing testing?
I know a lot of places are, and I would also, suggest places like drive-through clinics. Look in your local area. It's not always every Target or every Walmart, but there's a lot of options outside of even quick care clinics. I know here locally there's drive-through options at our local event center that has large parking lots they set up. And so all that information is usually available through your county health department or your state health department can give you locations outside of traditional locations like hospitals or emergency rooms. And so the private industry has stepped up a lot. Places like Walmart, Target, CVS, Walgreens, places like that are great options outside of hospitals and traditional providers.
On the issue of price transparency, I know when you go to a mechanic to work on your car, they usually provide you with a cost estimate. I don't see many hospitals doing that. Why don't they? And do most urgent care centers provide cost transparency?
Yeah, places outside of hospitals are much better about price transparency. A lot of it is around just negotiated rates, and we're seeing a lot of that with the latest executive order from the president and the Hospital Association, insurance providers pushing back against that, partly because if everyone knew what the price was, everyone's going to want the lowest price, which is what we'd all want. Like you mentioned, healthcare is one of the few areas where you don't know the price. The analogy has been used a lot of imagine going to the grocery store and not knowing what that banana is going to cost. And it could cost $1, or, if you're with a large Fortune 500 company, it could cost you only a quarter. If you're over 65, maybe it's 35 cents for that banana, but you don't know. And it's different for everyone depending on your circumstance. And that's kind of how healthcare is. And if we can get it opened up with price transparency, it would still allow for negotiated rates, and depending on the size of the group that you're in, still allows for that. But getting some consistency in pricing is what we need, and especially for members like Samaritan who don't have insurance, who are directly sharing with each other, to be able to know the price going in would be extremely helpful, just to get a fair price compared to insurance.
And what about home health care? I know more people are choosing that over hospitalization, but isn't it expensive?
Home healthcare can be, but alternatives like telemedicine, dial a nurse, opportunities like that have greatly increased during the pandemic. We at Samaritan, we had telemedicine and dial a nurse, and there was a small fee for that, especially for the dial a doctor, and we've waived that now during the pandemic. And I know even insurance is starting to make that free, because a lot of times to be able to just dial a nurse, give her your symptoms, talk to a doctor, and we've seen during this pandemic the range of technology. Most of our meetings now are done, via video, and to be able to even Skype or Zoom with your doctor, your nurse, and or even send pictures via text of your condition. All that drastically lowers the price if you can stay out of sight of a facility.
Okay, a lot changing on the healthcare field. Joel Noble of Samaritan Ministries, thank you for setting us straight today, Joel.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come with...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
America's in the midst of a conflict, and it's not the one we're actually seeing played out in the physical realm in the streets of some of our major cities. This is a spiritual battle, and it's no longer about black lives and justice or protecting people from the coronavirus. It's an anti-church, anti-Christian spirit that is rising its ugly head across our country. Just days after a 250-year-old Spanish mission was set on fire in Los Angeles, Governor Gavin Newsom announced Christians could no longer gather for Bible study in their homes. It comes after his earlier decree prohibiting people from singing praises to God in their churches. Newsom says it's only about protecting Californians from the spread of the coronavirus. The Liberty Council has filed a lawsuit in federal court on behalf of Harvest Rock Church and Harvest International Ministry. They're seeking an injunction and an expedited hearing. They contend the governor's action is unconstitutional because he's prohibiting life group Bible studies in homes, while at the same time, he's encouraging mass gatherings and protesters throughout the state. Let me remind Governor Newsom of what the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution says. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. This includes gubernatorial decrees, and there are no exceptions, even during a pandemic. You cannot allow people to gather for protests in the streets, but not in their homes. What's next, Governor Newsom? Requiring people to hang your portrait on living room walls like President Xi is doing in China? Maybe that's where you got the idea. The Chinese Communist Party's very good at restricting house churches. And I know. I've attended a few, and I've reported about a lot of them over the years. Some people believe politicians who publicly express discriminatory attitudes against Christians only incite violence against them. During a one-week period earlier this month, vandals and arsonists attacked at least 6 Catholic churches across the country. In addition to that Spanish mission in Los Angeles, attacks occurred in Hartford, Chattanooga, Queens, Boston, and Ocala, Florida. And on July 11th, a man rammed his car into the front doors of the Queen of Peace Catholic Church in Orlando, spreading 10 gallons of gasoline in the church and setting it ablaze. Well, thank God none of the parishioners attending services at the time of the attack were injured. Well, police found and arrested a 24-year-old man just 20 minutes after that incident. The pastor says the building can be replaced. And John Noonan, Bishop of the Diocese of Orlando, says church members forgive the man who set fire to their building.
The whole message of the gospel is redemption, forgiveness. If we don't have forgiveness in our hearts, then what are we filling our hearts with today? Do we hear God? Are we listening? And the question today is, where is the good news? The good news is in the gospel. The good news is Jesus Christ.
Good news indeed. True freedom. And we cannot allow it to be suppressed by government decrees or the evil actions of vandals and arsonists. Well, that's it today from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Twitter, and now on Parler. And until next time, be blessed.